Welcome. We are PRISM. We are talking in this episode about feelings of connectivity and aloneness. Right now, in this age, this modern age that you are in, particularly at this very moment with so much going on around the world, many of you are feeling separation and loneliness and disconnected feelings, literally from other people, from friends and family, from the places that you like to go to gather with others of your species, and also perhaps disconnected from old patterns of thinking, from old habits, from old notions of how the world is supposed to work, and from the idea that the world will continue to work that way indefinitely. But we want to give you some solace tonight and today, depending on when you're watching, because we want you to understand that you are never alone. You always are surrounded by other beings, first and foremost. In the old sense of you're never alone, there are indeed beings out there in the cosmos, in other dimensions, that know of your existence, that seek to interact with you. But more importantly, for the purposes of this discussion, you are also surrounded and indeed embodying all of the other aspects of yourself, of your permutations in reality that never quite leave you. Their fingerprints are throughout your energy field. They are embodied within your mind, within your psyche. They're part of your consciousness, of course. And because you're an expression of your oversoul, you are a constituent part of a larger personality, a larger entity that is the real you, if you'd like. But it might be helpful right now to realize you have that greater agency and that you're literally surrounded by yourselves. And if you do feel lonely, if you feel separated and cut off, there's great comfort in that in this time for those that feel such. But there's also a great potential in that for anyone who comes to that understanding, that realizes that they are made up of much more than just the one personality in the one body that you inhabit right now in your current incarnation. To understand that there's much, much more to you, and that that aspect of yourself, that texture, is not lost or out there on the other side or somewhere else inaccessible. It is in fact part of you. It's part of your everyday experience, whether you know it or not. That knowledge will liberate you. It will bring you comfort, hopefully, and it will take you into the next steps of your own personal evolution. So if you're sitting around by yourself right now and feeling that there's nowhere to go, there's no one to talk to, there's no one to interact with, you can practice interacting with past lives, with future lives, with other aspects of your current life, meaning parallel dimensions, probable realities. All of these things sound varying degrees of complexity, and we will go over them in future episodes in detail. But for now, hearkening back to some of our earlier discussions together, you will remember that you are on an incarnation path, an arc as we like to call it, a series of incarnations that follows a general theme and tends to happen in a certain place. In this case, you're on Earth, as you well know, and you're on an arc of incarnations on this planet, in this physical reality, this school of Earth. But you've had numerous incarnations, whether it's on Earth or elsewhere, and you will have many more in the future, whether here or elsewhere. And all of those incarnations have a life of their own. They exist right now, because in your oversoul's experience, there is no time and space. You feel time and space because you're in a particular expression of physical reality. It has rules. It has its own time and space language, if you'd like, through which it expresses the experience of what it's like to be on Earth. So that time and space is very much dependent upon being here on Earth. And if you go elsewhere, to other dimensions, even to other planets, you will find different expressions of time and space. And if you step outside of physical reality altogether, you will discover that time and space does not operate at all in the way that you're accustomed to it operating here in the earth realm. To your oversoul, that is, who is outside of the physical realms, the oversoul doesn't experience time and space at all, but rather it focuses and can focus on different expressions of itself in the present moment. So therefore, it could look at past, in present, and future lives of your earth expression simultaneously, or one next to each other. And that oversoul experience can also be shared by you as a human. It doesn't feel quite the same. You'll never quite feel like your oversoul in your human body, but you can get glimpses of it. You can get a taste of it if you put yourself in the right frame of mind, if you open your expression, your understanding, your idea of what is possible. You can link with this greater awareness, understand your multidimensional self much more readily than you typically do. And that's what we're urging you to do right now in order to feel that brother and sisterhood with the rest of yourselves. It'll help not only ease your loneliness, it'll help you come to know yourself as a metaphysical being more acutely, more pronounced, and more potent and powerfully. So, here you are thinking that you're just so-and-so, sitting in a chair perhaps, like this person is right now, walking down the street. But in reality, you're a multidimensional being. So all the experiences you've accrued as so-and-so are, of course, your primary focus. But within your energy field, within your consciousness, your multidimensional being, you have been many other expressions of physicality before, other lifetimes, and you have many to come. And not only that, we spoke about your probable realities and your alternate realities. So you are on Earth in a particular timeline, but Earth itself is not limited to just the timeline that you are experiencing. The universe is very hyper efficient. So why have one experience, one reality, when you can have multiple simultaneous ones? So the Earth has multiple timelines playing out in different slices of reality, if you like, different versions of time and space that are tuned slightly differently. So they overlap, but they do not infringe or impinge upon one another. They can all exist concurrently. And you, the actor in this stage now, we'll call it, are living out one life in one timeline, but concurrently living out other lifetimes exactly in parallel time-space, but attuned slightly differently, so that there are a whole series of them playing out with you in a similar body, but having different experiences. This is the parallel life expression. There are other aspects of parallel life. There are probable realities in which you, the one expression that you think of yourself in a physical body, are making choices. And you make this choice but not that one. Those other choices still resonate. They have an imprint in the greater reality, even though they don't take physical form. You choose, let's say, to move from one house to another. Well, there's a part of you that, if you feel intensely about the decision, may have expressed the alternate and stayed in the house. Well, that doesn't express itself in physical form, but still a fingerprint, a loose lamination, if you'd like, exists over what actually happens in your time frame. A ghost of what could have been, if you prefer. And that is charged with emotion. It's charged with part of your consciousness. So it exists in your field long after the decision's been made and you've gone left instead of right, or right instead of left. So all of these different permutations of yourself exist inside of you. And they're there whether you know it or not, or whether you acknowledge it or not. So you're not just this one being. You're a series of expressions of the greater metaphysical being that is you, and the one being that is in your body, expressed through multiple parallel improbable lives. All of this may be a bit confusing if you haven't thought much of it before, or it may be confusing in general when you start to let it twirl around in your mind and wrap your thoughts up into knots. But just by entertaining the idea of acknowledging this reality, and by reality we mean this phenomenon of all of these different expressions of yourself, you start to bring it to the surface on an energetic level. So if you're sitting at home, it's a great exercise to go into a meditative state, to relax your body and through whichever type of discipline best works for you. Or simply open up your mind or your imagination, the powerful tool of your imagination, and let it lead you rather than you leading it. Let it take the point, if you'd like, and walk out into the landscape of your mind and show you places you've been before. Let it unfold like a movie playing out, and you try to stand back and not influence the thoughts or the emotions or the feelings. Imagine you're just watching a screen and see what starts to play in your mind. Allow the nudges to come up in a meditation if you prefer. Ask yourself, who have I been before? Who will I become in the future? What roads didn't I take that express themselves in another multidimensional fashion? What parallel realities might I have had? And there are clues to these things. There are clues to who you've been in the past by things that have a strong reaction in you. If you have certain skills, the chances are you've explored them before in other lives, especially if you're proficient at certain things in this life. If you have certain very strong pulls towards places, towards ideas, if you have strong aversions to certain areas, to certain ideas, certain geographies, etc., then these may all be clues about places you've lived before, or perhaps will in the future. If you have certain ideas about what you wished you could have done with your life, those unfinished businesses, or those things and dreams you had in childhood which you never fulfilled or never even pursued, those very likely were pursued in parallel realities. And certainly there's a fingerprint of them in your probable realities, the paths that weren't taken. So as you sit and muse upon this, as you let this energy come into your consciousness, into your awareness, into your energy field, into your very body actually, then you start feeling connected to a greater sense of selfhood. And we hope that in doing so, you'll realize you're much more than just someone sitting lonely in their living room, if that's what you're doing. And you're much more than just a person trying to achieve things in life and maybe succeeding a bit and maybe coming up short in other areas. Whatever you're trying to feel about yourself, whether it's more connection with yourself or whether it's more connection with others, you will find that musing upon your greater membership as a multidimensional being and the greater expressions of yourself will help strengthen your love of yourself, with your pride in yourself, with your understanding of yourself, which will ease your loneliness and open up your heart and mind to more possibilities and even inspire you to take more evolutionary steps in your spiritual journey. And not only that, it's not just yourselves. You're part of a soul group. Whoever you are, you're part of a soul group. Even if you have no friends and family, as if that's even possible. But let's say you have no contact with family and not a single friend in the world. You're still part of a soul group. There are other people out there in the world right now who are connected to you intimately through multidimensional binds, multidimensional cords, if you'd like, through great, vast sums of experience in other incarnations, in the other side, that are soul brothers and sisters. And they're out there. And even if you never meet them in this incarnation, simply by being alive simultaneously with them, you give each other energy. You exchange energy, exchange consciousness. And if you're on a spiritual path, you give that to them and they benefit from the learning and evolution you're doing. If they're doing likewise, if they're having skills and triumphs and successes, then you draw on their energy. And if you open yourself up to this idea, you may find it changes your mood. It inspires you. It gives you extra energy to use in your own life, be it from the other members of your soul group or from the other aspects of yourself. But returning again to your soul groups, you are part of this group. You are all constituent parts of a soul group, and that soul group is a constituent part of even larger groups, groups that are connected by kin. They're connected by a similar mission, a spiritual mission perhaps on earth. They're connected by perhaps a shared commonality in a particular area or a particular job, etc., etc. You know intuitively what these groups are. You can explore the membership of them as you meditate upon them and allow the ideas and images to come into your imagination and your energy field. Then you may connect dots and realize that you do indeed have a brethren out there that's connected to you through your love of being of service to others, for instance. And again, you needn't meet any of these people to exchange the energy. The groups like these are created metaphysically to be life rafts to each other, to be helpmates, so that there are people to draw on each other's energy, to strengthen each other, to hold each other up, to buttress each other, and to create a more intimate relationship to draw strength from as each one of you go through your own interactions in the world and your own growth, and ultimately lend yourself to the growth of your entire species. Now, some of the members of your soul group, or groups as it were, are not even on Earth. They may have never even come to Earth. Some of your best soul mate and soul friends that you ever will have in any reality are on the other side right now. And we assure you, you have more soul friends on the other side, as it were, than you do on the earth. And that should be a great comfort to you. It means there are many, many beings, many like-minded consciousnesses on the other side cheering you on right now. And they are intimate friends of yours. When you get to the other side, you'll see them and say, oh my God, ooh, hugs, hugs, kisses, kisses. You'll remember that you know them as well as any other being in the universe. You'll be astonished that you forgot them when you came into human form. But immediately upon crossing over to the other side, as it were, you'll remember them. You'll see them, you'll be surrounded by them, and you'll know you've had many adventures with them and you have more to come in other lifetimes and other realities. So, even on the earth, as you progress, you'll have many of these souls coming in as friends and family. There'll be lovers, there'll be life mates, there'll be teachers, and they're staggered, so they come through all parts of your life. Each phase of your life, you're interacting with some members of a soul group. And these soul group members are there to help illuminate the path, to remind you of things, to give you hope, to give you shoulders to lean on, to make you laugh, to make you feel joy, and to help you inevitably along your spiritual path. Even when these people fade from your life, the life you are right now, your current state, if they die or disappear or the friendships strain and fade, it's okay. The imprint that they leave upon you is the connection that's eternal. And you can continue to draw on it, even if it's just a memory. And you can draw on those you haven't even met yet, even if it's an imagination and a knowingness of those to come into your life. So all of these connections are very, very real. They're palpable. They're psychic connections. They're connections of consciousness, be it to yourself in all of the dimensions that you express yourself through the various lives and lifetimes and parallels that you yourself experience reality, or through the friends in the family, the soulmate connections. And not all your friends and family are soulmates, by the way, and it's a very easy task to go through the roll call of them and let your heart tell you which are and which aren't. You will know quite intuitively who you've been around with for a while and who you haven't. Some may be friends, some may be foes, as it were, but all of them will have a very powerful, palpable connection to you. And we hope, as you take this to heart, when you muse upon it and experiment with exploring these different connections, that it'll bring you comfort if you're feeling alienated right now, if you're feeling lost, isolated and adrift. just by reaching out into the energetic connection you have with yourself as a multidimensional being and with others, it should warm your heart. It should warm your entire energy body. It should bring you hope and comfort, knowing you're part of something so much larger than the daily events and even the events of your life. You are much greater than that, and that should bring you joy and warmth. And in addition to that, knowing that there are other beings, that other personalities that interact with you through these lifetimes, through these various expressions of life, and in the life you have right now. Knowing that should also give you a feeling of solidarity, purpose, and mission that raises your energy and your frequency, allows you to go into the new day, tomorrow, with that much more purpose, that much more comfort, that much more assurance that you are supported, that you have psychic and consciousness and multidimensional resources that buttress you, that cheer you on and urge you forward along your spiritual path. So, if ever in doubt, give you and all your constituent parts a great big hug. If you need a hug, you can do it yourself. If someone else needs a hug, you can send it out psychically to them, as we do to you right now. Till next time, we love you.